This spotlight for Women's History Month is on Jane Fonda. She is still alive, and she is a trailblazer in film, activism, and feminism. While she initially became a household name for her roles in movies, she developed more of a reputation as an activist and sometimes a little bit more progressive than folks would have liked her to be through her protests and political stances. Either way, she's a force of nature and someone to be reckoned with. Jane was born in New York City in 1937. Her dad was American actor Henry Fonda, and her mom was a Canadian socialite named Frances Seymour. She was born into privilege and had access to pretty much whatever she wanted. Unfortunately, her mother suffered from thoughts that were not positive, and when Jane was only 12 years old, her mother took her own life. After that, her father was pretty emotionally distant. He married a woman who was much younger than him, and the relationship was dramatic. And so Jane was pretty much forced into hyper-independence at a fairly young age. After high school, she attended Vassar College before studying acting at the Actors Studio under Lee Strasberg, where she developed skills that would make her truly an icon. She worked steadily throughout the 1960s and gained a lot of prestige in Hollywood, becoming an icon. She won 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress in the 70s and began to choose roles that she felt challenged traditional gender norms because feminism was something that was very important to her. One of her goals with taking these roles was to highlight sexism in the workplace and inspire real-world conversations about gender equality. While many celebrities shy away from controversial issues, Jane has never hesitated to put herself on the front lines of social movements. In the 70s, she was one of the loudest voices in Hollywood against the Vietnam War. She went to North Vietnam in the early 70s, and she got the nickname Hanoi Jane from that. And she did apologize for the picture, but she never did apologize for her anti-war stance. And she continued to argue that the U.S. government was lying to the public about the terrible things happening during the war. Jane was also an activist at home, and she continues to do that to this day. But in the 70s, she aligned herself with the Black Panther movement, and she has consistently been a supporter of indigenous land rights movements. She continues to use her influence to amplify the voice of marginalized people. Jane has also been an ally to the LGBTQ plus community long before it was popular. In the late 70s, she appeared in an interview for the White Night riots in San Francisco after Harvey Milk was assassinated. In the early 2000s, she visited Israel and the West Bank as part of a tour focusing on stopping violence against women. And while she was there, she saw the conditions of Palestinians who were being kept in refugee camps, and she became very displeased and outspoken against the way that the people of Palestine were being treated at the time, and currently stands for a ceasefire. She was also wildly outspoken against the Iraq War, saying that it would turn the people of the world against America, and saying that the global hatred of America that would be inspired from this would be almost irreparable. She also continues to be an outspoken activist for the environment and for the rights of women. She's been speaking out against injustices in the environment for years, and she continues to do so even now. In 2019, she launched Fire Drill Fridays, a campaign of nonviolent civil disobedience movements to demand urgent action on climate change. And she's even been arrested multiple times for protesting outside the U.S. Capitol. On top of that, she's been a lifetime supporter of women's rights and advocating for gender equality and feminism. She co-founded the Women's Media Center in 2005 to amplify women's voices in journalism and entertainment, and has been a strong supporter of reproductive rights and the Me Too movement, using her platform to call out systemic sexism. She said one of the great things that the women's movement has done is make us realize that when men abuse women, it is not our fault. We were violated, and it's not right. She's also tried to make a lot of things clear about the feminist movement because she was brought up to believe that feminists are anti-male, but she has come to the understanding that it's not that feminism is anti-male, it's anti-patriarchy. And since that threatens the system and changes the way people view masculinity, that is why folks try to frame it that way. Jane Fonda embodies fearless advocacy, reinvention, and resilience. She's refused to conform to Hollywood's expectations and never backed down from a fight, and continues even in her 80s to fight injustices at every stage in her life. She has always unapologetically used her voice to make change. She said, instead of drifting along like a leaf in a river, understand who you are and how you come across to people and what kind of impact you have on the people around you and the community around you in the world, so that when you go out, you can feel like you've made a positive difference. She also said it's never too late. It's never too late to start over, and it's never too late to be happy. Jane continues to inspire people to persevere even when things are at their most adverse, and that the most revolutionary thing you can do is to fight the fight that someone else can't. If you are in a position of power, use it. Fight for others and be there for your community.